This is Radio NUG, the voice of National Unity Government of Myanmar, broadcasting for Myanmar Spring Revolution.
Myo, a young rebel fighter, is on his first mission against the Myanmar military.
Radio NUG.
ကြောက်လဲကြောက်တယ်ဗောရှင်နေလဲရမ်းတုံနေဗောနော်ရှင်နေလဲရမ်းခေါ်ခါကြတယ်အဲ့လိုဖြစ်နေတော့ချွေးတွေပါထွက်တယ်ဗောဝိုင်းနေတော့မင်းနဲ့မောင်အတူနေရတာမှသူလျောင်းချွေးဆွဲပါလို့သူလျောင်းချွေးဆွဲပါလို့ Myo's unit is ambushing a military outpost. They're part of an armed struggle to restore democracy.
I'd like to welcome everyone tuning into this episode. Many of you now listening likely have a measure of personal freedom and liberty in your own lives, freedoms that the speaker you're about to hear from no longer enjoys. I don't say this to make anyone feel guilty, but to offer a reminder that we're very fortunate to have a degree of agency and safety in our lives that our upcoming guest and everyone else in Myanmar these days can only dream of. So after you hear their story, please consider how you can use your freedom to support or advocate on behalf of the Burmese people. Any action, no matter how small, counts. Now, let's hear what they have to say. I'm joined by a guest that we had on almost exactly a year ago. This was a guest that we spoke to extensively about the CDM movement, as she had been training civil servants in Myanmar for 10 years previous to the coup. So she ended up playing quite an important role in the foundation of the CDM movement and helping many of those civil servants who wanted to go on CDM but had questions or were worried or had needs or safety issues. Shortly following that interview, the activities of this guest became known to the military and she had to go into hiding. And we're going to pick up from that incident. We're going to hear about what has been happening to this guest personally for the past year, how her life has changed for supporting the democracy movement. And then after some of this personal discussion, we're going to go a bit into looking at the wider movement, looking at where is CDM today, what is happening with the NUG. I should mention that this person now has a prominent position in NUG, thoughts on the general revolution, on the PDFs, and some other information as well But first of all, we're just going to check in and find out how she's doing and how the past year has been. So thanks so much for joining us again 1 year later and checking in and letting us know how things are going.
Thank you so much for your invitation. It's my pleasure to talk to you again in this Insight Podcast. It is very benefited to our people to listen to our story. So last year, as you already mentioned, I involved in the CDM movement a lot. Seriously, and so I mostly at the time I couldn't stay, I couldn't live in my home anymore. I had to hide in many different places, mostly in the safe houses. So I moved from safe house to safe house, and last year was a very shocking experience for me because my parents got infected with COVID last year, and I had to I couldn't hide in the safe house anymore because I had to take care of my parents. So it was very challenging for me to get out of the safe house and to take care of my parents. But luckily I overcame it. And then most of the people who joined the revolution, we couldn't stay in the safe houses anymore, and also in Yangon or in anywhere, because the SAC soldiers are checking us every day. I mean, checking our houses and checking our activities online. So it is very unsafe for us to live in Yangon. So, and also in many places, the SAC soldiers, many safe houses, the SAC soldiers, they check and they raided the safe houses. So safe houses were not safe anymore. So we couldn't even stay in the safe house anymore because it is not safe for us anymore. So that's why I decided to leave the gantry, but I couldn't travel like a normal ordinary citizen. I couldn't. I didn't dare to pass the immigration checkpoint at the airport. So I had to cross. The only way we can do is we had to go to the ethnic organizations area, like the KNU areas or the KIA areas, and then we can cross the border to the neighboring countries. That's the only way we can do if we couldn't stay in the in the city anymore. That's what I did. So I went to one of the EAO camps in Karen State, and then I crossed the border to Mae Sot, and then now I'm staying in Mae Sot and still working for the revolution. Yeah, that's my whole story.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I'd like to go into a little more detail and color, just understanding what these experiences are like. You're describing kind of the actual journey that you go through and step by step. But I think it's important for listeners to also know the feeling and what it's like to actually be living and doing the things that you're doing. So maybe you can start with talking about living in the safe house and just tell us a bit about what the feeling was like in the safe house, what the routines were, and what the fear was like that it could be raided, and then how you ended up making the decision that you had to leave it and make a run for it, which is also dangerous in its own right.
I mean, safe house is a place, the temporary place for us when we couldn't stay at our own residence anymore. So no, I looked for a safe house, and then I stayed there. But safe house are also only in Yangon areas. It's very risky for us. I mean, we couldn't go out, and we couldn't meet anyone. We need to lock up inside the safe our own safe house. Because if someone knows the safe house where we are staying there, it's very risky for us, and we couldn't believe we couldn't trust our neighborhood too. In our neighbor, so the safe house neighbors, they also don't know we are staying there. They also don't know who we are. So things like that, we are very hiding. We are hiding in that place. But some people, I mean, like the delivery people, came and gave us the food and other things we need, but we couldn't go out of the safe house. So inside the safe house, I feel I was okay, but I know it's not a safe place. Even though we were in safe house, it's not safe place for us. We could be found anytime by the SAC, because they are checking us everywhere. Especially people like me working for the NUG, or working for the strikes, or working for the PDF. So it's very risky for us. And inside the safe house, I couldn't attend my meetings with the NUG regularly, because I was worried some people listen to my meetings, or and I always use VPN on my computer, because I feel very worried my computer could be traced. By the SAC, my internet could be traced. So it's like I had to be very careful, even staying in the safe house. That's my concern and my feeling there. And then some of this around October, September, October, safe houses very high risk situation, because SAC troops, they know people are hiding in the safe houses, so they start looking for safe houses, and they check they check and they pressure the room owners, the apartment owners, the condo owners, not to accept any strangers, any outside people. And the owners, they don't dare to accept anyone they don't know. So these are the start of the we couldn't stay in the safe house anymore, and we couldn't move to another safe house because the owners don't dare to accept us anymore. And some of my friends' safe houses got raided by the SAC. Because the owner informed to the SAC, or the ward administrator informed to the SAC. So we are we at the time, it was totally my nightmare for us. Every night I prayed, I couldn't be found. I was not such by the SAC, or I couldn't be found. Every night I was praying less praying less year.
And so how many months was it that you lived in this Yangon apartment without being able to step outside? And during those months that you were living like that, what was it like to live with a sense of being enclosed, a lack of freedom, and the fear, everything that you were living with? having to stay in those closed quarters and also try to be sane and try to be healthy. So I'm curious how long that was for, and just mentally and also socially with the other people that were in there, how you managed that space.
It was like I think it's a March, starting from March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, 8 months.
8 months, and you didn't go outside for 8 months.
Yes, but I moved two safe houses. I moved to safe houses because because of the situation in the areas, risky situation. So I had to move. So like one place is 4 months. Like 2 places. I had to move 2 places.
Mm-hmm. So it was 8 months in 3 safe houses. And did you go outside? Sorry?
No, I couldn't go outside.
So for 8 months, you only went outside when you had to move from one safe house to the other.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And that's unbelievable. I mean, that's almost like a prison or a house arrest in itself. So what was it like managing that inner space, managing the fear, the boredom, the lack of freedom, the social interactions, the inability to go outside and just have air or variety or restaurants or social or anything like that? How did you manage 8 months and living under those conditions?
Yeah, it was very difficult and challenging. I really wanted to go out into the streets to join the strike. There were so many strikes at the time around March, February and March. So I really wanted to join, but I couldn't join anymore. But how I could join is only online, and my work with CDM mostly, and CDM all over the country. They contacted me through Messenger, Facebook, Viber, or the Telegram. So I was very busy with the CDM, talking to the CDM, how to move from. They also, the CDM were also very difficult at the time. They need money, and also they need to move to other places because they were also very risky. So I was very busy helping them, and so and I was busy with my computer the whole day. Luckily I got online internet, and so I just only focus on my CDM work, and apart from that, my daily activities include meditation, because I was very traumatic at the time when many CDM contacted me, and I was helping them, and because of their trauma, it also affected me, and I also shocked by myself. I was very frightening at the time, because the SAC, they killed the protester even in front of our street. I mean, like my hiding street. My hiding place, there was the street, and the protester was killed. So it was so shock for me. And so I got trauma. So I need to take the meditation in the safe house, and I also need to listen to the monk praying regularly. Otherwise I couldn't stand it anymore.
Sure.
So that's the only the thing I did. When I was in safe house with the CDM, helping the CDM and doing meditation and doing some yoga and exercise. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. You were able to do yoga, meditation, exercise. What yes. kind of meditation were you doing, if I could ask?
I'm focusing to I mean, like my mind. I mean, because of the the pressure, and also the situation. My mind is not. I think my mind is not stable anymore, and also like I saw the images, like but then when I started doing meditation, I focus only on the breathing. So it's really, focusing on the breathing, and then my mind is coming, more and more coming. So I really like that stage.
So you started by focusing on the breathing, and then after breathing, you switched to looking at something in the mind. What exactly were you observing there?
I focus on the breathing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Mughal Siaro, like pyit-pyet. How can I say pyit-pyet?
Yeah, like arise, pass away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you were focusing on the arising and passing away of like sensations, or
yes.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
working like with the body sensations.
Yes.
Yeah. And how was that experience? Like, what did you have insights from it? Did it help you? What did you get from focusing on the pyit-pyet, the arising, passing away?
It makes me more compassionate to me myself, and to make me more peaceful. I can accept anything happen. That's what I learned from the meditation. So I can accept the things happening. At first, I was very angry, and I was so shocked. I was very shocked. But later, after the meditation, I could accept, anything can happen, and these things will also overcome. So things like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's been 8 months that you were basically under house arrest, living in a kind of fear and isolation, and you eventually make the decision to get out and to escape. And you end up going through the ethnic areas, eventually landing on Mae Sot. What can you share with us about that decision, and also the actual travels and experience of making it out there?
Because one of the safe houses was raided by SAC, so everyone in the safe house got warning, not to live there anymore. So we had to think we should still living inside Myanmar, or we should leave, because we don't have many chances anymore. And I was also involving too much with the NUG. So if I got arrested, I was totally I was sent to the jail, and I got sentences. So I couldn't get arrested. And my parents pushed me to leave the country. They didn't want me to stay there inside Myanmar anymore. That's why I decided to leave the country. And so me and my roommate, who was also CDM doctor, medical doctor, we left our safe house, and we went to one of the EAO areas in Karen State. EAO camps in Karen State, and we stayed there for 3 weeks there, because we had to wait for the transportation to cross the border.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then you were able to cross the border without incident?
Yes, with the help of the EAO, yes, I crossed the border. Yeah, but we don't have the formal. We don't have any formal documents. It's like a refugee crossing the border.
Mm-hmm. So what is your situation like now?
I am. So here I'm illegal, staying in Mae Sot. But there are many people NUG said that there are around 800 people staying in Mae Sot, like me, because the EAO areas got raided by SAC, and there were many battles along the border. So many camps, as EAO camps, were attacked by the SAC. So there are many IDP along the borders, and they cross the border. So there are around 800 or 1,000 people here illegally, including me. So people, politicians, member of parliaments, and CDMer, and activists. So many here. But you know, it's like we don't have the documents, so it's very difficult for us. We're always looking out the police, Thai police. You know, they check, they check, like they are also strict every day these days, and also they are checking, patrolling around, patrolling the shopping mall. The Thai police are patrolling the shopping mall, checking the Burmese people. They check the people who speak Burmese or things like that. You know, so it's a very risky for us to stay here.
And if those Thai police were to find someone who was Burmese and didn't have proper documents, what would they do with them?
They sent to the jail. So
to the Thai jail?
Thai jail. Yeah, some of the MP were sent to the jail, and also some of the activists were sent to the jail, and some even sent back to Myanmar. So it's not good. It's not good, but we have to be careful here, staying here. You know, we are like violating the law, violating the immigration law. So we need to be careful.
So you're basically under house arrest again in Mae Sot, it sounds like.
Yeah. I couldn't go out like normal people. I couldn't travel because I don't have the document. So only within the Mae Sot area I could travel.
But Mae Sot is safe?
I mean, not travel. It's like commute. You know, I just go out, go to the shopping center.
Right, but that's safe. It's in Mae Sot. Burmese without papers are able to go around pretty freely without fear of arrest. Is that right?
Not very often, you know. Because just like I went out twice by month. Only just tried 2 or 3 times. So it's not very free, because the Thai police is patrolling the areas all around. So it's difficult. I couldn't. We cannot go to the areas very freely like the normal people. Yeah. Right.
So this is an experience of living like an illegal alien or a refugee. I imagine you never expected in your life you'd have to do that.
No, yeah, I never imagined, because you know, before the coup, I traveled how can I say? It's like I travel to many countries, and I travel very freely.
Yeah.
Like about now, it's like I was in the cage. I couldn't travel. I couldn't do anything what I like. Right. That's totally different for me. Very different experience for me.
Yeah, and it must. I can't imagine how it feels to live in. You know, you're coming from Myanmar. You're in such danger in Myanmar to your life, to your safety, and the only reason you're in danger is because you're supporting the democracy movement. You're not doing anything more than that. But that makes you a threat and an enemy of the state. And so you're living in these constrained circumstances for so long, you finally escape and you make it out of the country, and you're just barely safer. You're still at same risk to authorities in another state that are not sympathetic to your cause or your work, even though you're not doing anything wrong. You're just supporting a democracy movement, and you have that risk again of those authorities in another country either imprisoning you or even worse, sending you back to an even worse danger that you were trying to escape from. So that kind of perpetual hiding and constant concern for safety, just psychologically, I can't begin to imagine how one develops that stamina and that strength to just continue and persevere in surviving and staying healthy, and above all that, on a personal level, continuing to work for this democracy movement in Myanmar and against the military takeover.
It's just like I couldn't even believe myself. It's like my limitation. I thought I could overcome my limitation. I stretched my limitation. I never imagined I would involve in the coup and the movement, because when 88 uprising happened, I was only 4 years old. So only just my parents talk about that, and I never imagined that it would happen to me again. It happened. It really happened to me, and then I took part. It's like very seriously, very, very seriously. So like every day I work for the revolution, every day. It's only in my mind. I had to work to fight the regime. So I thought, wow, I could do that. I could overcome that. I could stay in the safe house. At first, I thought I couldn't stay in the safe house. I need to go out, and I just always going out, hanging out with my friends. But then I was under house arrest, and I even sympathize Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, because she was under house arrest more than 10 or 20 years, and I thought, wow, she could do that. And now I am in her situation, and why not? I also need to be like her, to do, because I know that she also she is doing meditation, she is doing reading, she reads many books. So so I also do the same thing, like meditation, reading, and working for the revolution. So it's like I really appreciate her strength, her ability. It's really admiring for me, and I also couldn't believe myself. But now I feel more confident about myself. I overcome all these challenges, and I'm still, there are so many challenges still waiting for me. I know, because I'm still working for the revolution, and now even in the refugee. Even in the refugee status. So there are many challenges still waiting, but I'm more confident I can overcome.
That's great, and that's interesting just to think about. You never imagining you could end up here and end up working as you did. And I think that's true for so many people in the democracy movement. I think for any of us, if we just rewind a few years ago, we think about these network of friends or professional contacts we had of, even you and I, when's the last time we had a meal together, or we hung out, or looked at, happened to see the handicrafts that you were supporting and had a conversation there, or, we're going back years after that and looking at the training seminars that we were in together and some of the other people that were there, and who would have known that those networks that were both friendly and personal as well as professional and in the field field. Who would have ever guessed that those contacts would lead to these, what are now underground networks and advocacy and support for that are these networks where we're really relying on one another and who we are and our backgrounds and what we offer to work together and to find ways to see how we can continue supporting this. That's just the situation that we've all found ourselves in. Those who've decided, of course, to take a part. Of course, there are people in all of our networks that have chosen not to rise up the same way that others have, and have laid low or have sought greater personal safety and not taken the same risk or advocacy of wanting to support the movement. And that's the question I have for you. You know, in your interview last year, you described the very organic way that you came to play a leading role in CDM. It was never anything you intended or tried to do or had ambition for. It was really just one civil servant after another coming and asking for your advice, for your help, and suddenly you were this very important person that was leading and assisting in all of these civil servants that were following CDM, and that then put you at risk. And that all happened organically. It wasn't something you were trying to make for yourself or trying to carve out some position. So, and you didn't know where that would lead. You didn't know how long this would last or the dangers that would come or the personal risk that you would face. So my question is, knowing where this was leading and what kind of personal strain and risk it would place on you, do you have any regrets? Do you feel that looking back, you wish you might have done things differently, or that knowing that the position it would place you in of risk and danger, do you have any second thoughts or regret about how active you've chosen to become in your work and in your activism?
No. I never regret about my decisions. Even I feel better because I see my belief is even stronger to fight for democracy. At first, I thought I believe in democracy just for that. Now I face the regime now, and I was really standing up to fight them. So my belief is stronger and stronger. So it's like I never regret it. And there are many, not only me, because there are so many people who gave their life, who many PDF, many Gen Z, they were even touched during the fights, during the protests. So why not me? It's not only this revolution is totally different from 88 generation. This is like totally Myanmar history changing. So I never regretted I involved in that part of the movement. It's just I'm even proud of myself, and I'm even feeling better. That's what I can do. It's like, how can I say? In Burmese we call it lik ya long. It's like my conscious mind is it is like very clear about my way. This is the very conscious decision I made, and I'm very clear about that.
Right. That's very inspiring to hear. And it's also in thinking about our own democracy in my country, in the US, and how it's something, those kind of freedoms are things that people take for granted to such an extent, and not realizing the struggle and the personal risk of people giving so much so that we can then live in safety. And I think that's something really valuable for us to remember here, and to appreciate the freedoms that we have, and also the delicate nature of them, that those freedoms are always at risk in some regard, and how important it is to affirm the value of everyone living under those basic freedoms and human rights, and not let that slip away when we do have a hold on them, and remembering the struggle and and how much dedication people like you are working towards with trying to bring about those in Myanmar. So On that note, I want to go back to your interview last year. It's the link to that interview will be in the notes of this interview, and we definitely encourage listeners to go and check that out to look at where you were at a year ago and how you were assisting the CDM movement at that time. I know that you also listened to that interview before we talked. Now, what were your thoughts when you were listening to that interview a year ago? What stood out to you? What did you notice?
At the time, I noticed that I thought the revolution didn't take so long. It's like I thought we just finished like 2 or 3 months, but now
Right.
it's like a year, and even it would be longer, like 2 or 3 years, and in building the country again, it would take another 2 or 3 years again. So I think at least it would like 4 or 5 years, but Myanmar will suffer. So that's my only thought after last year interview. But there are so many changes happening, and I really glad that I overcame this the challenges I face.
Right. So listening to that interview a year ago, you felt some kind of, I guess we could say, like naivete, of feeling that the movement was going to overcome the military faster than it did.
Yes.
Right. Was there anything else that stood out from that?
Not exactly. That's what I remember mostly. Yeah.
Right. So let's continue following with CDM for now, because the main thrust of that interview, we talked extensively about what you were doing with building up the CDM movement, which at that time was really one of the most important aspects of the revolution, was just the power of CDM and the confidence of CDM working, and more employees that were not going to office, or some that were staying in the office but were actually spying on the regime to help the movement. And that was where we left off a year ago. And over the course of the last year, we've heard less and less about CDM in the news. There have been more aspects of the revolution and the conflict that have come out. And that leaves a lot of us wondering, well, what's going on with CDM today? We hear reports of more and more people going back to the office. There's a question about how effective is CDM really, when we're starting to look at some of the actual battles, when we're looking at the NUG and the international stage, when we're looking at the PDFs. And we tend to forget about this role of CDM, which was so important and so prominent at the beginning. So can you walk us through what changes happened in the course of the year with CDM, as someone who is so involved and on the inside of this movement, and where we're at now with the civil disobedience movement?
Well, it's how can I say? It's like the movement is weaker because of the pressure of SAC. They and also the duration of the revolution. So CDM could stand. I still have connection with many CDM every day, and I'm still talking to them every day. I'm even working with them. So the problem is the financial difficulties CDM are facing, and the lack of job opportunities. They couldn't find a job easily, and the pressure from SAC to go back, and also they have some mostly the financial problems. They got the loans from the government. Previously, they joined the CDM, so SAC pressured them, to give back this loan, the civil servant loan. And if they couldn't return the loans, they got arrested. So things like that, SAC pressure a lot on them. So the movement is weaker and weaker. But there are many CDM I really admire and inspire. All these financial hardship and difficulties and threatening, they are still fighting. They don't join they don't go back to their offices. They still join the movement, and they are still very proud of themselves, and they have all these record. What they, even among the CDM, the dates they are the date they joined the CDM movement is very important. People who join earlier, like February, is always proud of themselves. And people who join later is they don't accept that like the normal CDM. So now I'm working for the NUG CDM committee. We have the NUG. NUG has the CDM success committee, and I'm working for that. I'm the secretariat member of the CDM success committee, and so we are working on the CDM policy, CDM and net CDM, and what are the benefits for the CDM after the revolution. So we are going to give them rewards, or the government, the new government, the new civilian government again after the revolution. They are going to reward these CDM, the heroes, like our heroes. So there are CDM categories. We identify like CDM and the PDF. CDM who joined the PDF forces. They are the highest group, the highest revolution group, and then CDM, the longer the CDM time they join, so it's like the rank of the CDM is higher. So it's like the CDM category we make. So that we are working on that draft policy for the CDM. And I really inspire the CDM, and I really appreciate their courage and their attitudes, their fightings for the country. My sacrifice is nothing comparing with them. I'm just helping them. I don't have that much sacrifice like them. They left their job. I didn't leave my job like them. They left all their job and their houses, all these benefits they got from the government. They couldn't find any other job.
Right.
That's their sacrifices way higher and really inspire for me, to join the movement.
Yeah, and that's something that's hard to even imagine. Is when we first looked at CDM and we looked at people just not going to work for days or weeks or maybe months ahead, but we're now looking at over a year and maybe years in total. It's hard to even perceive this, of someone not being able to go to work, not get an income, support a family, support their daily expenses. And then on top of all that, to be at risk. It's not just that they're not going and accruing benefits and income. They can't simply stay home and just not work. Finances aside, they're also at risk. The military is trying to arrest CDMers, saying that they are partaking in an illegal action for not going to their work. So it's hard to even imagine how they're able to live with such difficulties for as long as they have.
Mostly they find another job, another source of income, like selling the products or asking for money from their parents, their family. They rely on their husband, or so it's like very difficult for CDMR to get the job. The company or the businesses, they don't want to hire the CDMR. It's because of the pressure from the SAC. They don't dare to hire the CDMR. So it's very difficult for the CDM to get job. So most CDM are working for their own businesses, small businesses. Now we are helping them to set up their small businesses. So things like that, the financial difficulties they are facing is very, very hard for them.
Right. And looking at the CDM movement overall, what role is CDM currently playing in the overall democratic movement? As I mentioned before, CDM was kind of at the forefront of everything happening during the first few months, and we've heard less about it. So how important strategically is CDM at this moment?
Yes, it's still important. But these days, we focus more on the revolution, the defensive war. But CDM from the army and the police is still important for the revolution. So the military CDMR, the soldiers CDMR, the police CDMR, they join the movement. They still join the movement. It's very important for us, the defection program is important. If they join the movement more and more, it's there are less there are less people with the SAC. So it's CDM are still important. They still join. But mostly these police and the army, we focus on that now.
Right. That's obviously the more important one. So what can you tell us about those operations, about focusing on the military and the police defections as part of CDM?
Yeah, we have the NUG has this People Embrace program. We call it People Embrace pyit-pyet. It is welcoming the military and police soldiers, police officer and the military soldiers to join the movement. So every day we have this army and police CDMR who join with us. So for police we have around 2,500 police CDMR. And the police, I heard last year in Kyar State, the police CDMR last year, the first police CDM is from Kyar State. I heard them at the time. So this day they are now with their own police force, the Kyar State Police Force. That's it's like I'm very proud of them. I have this CDM and they now even have their own state force. So it's really remarkable for me, to help them and the police. Police is very important. I mean, like these days we have more territory. I mean, the conflicts happening in Sakai or Chin or Makwi, this area need more rule of law and the stability. So police CDM are very important to join the movement. If police join us, these police will protect the communities. So I'm helping them, the police, to help the communities in Sakai or Chen or Makwi. Many townships have their own police force. I mean, like the Kyar State, the police CDMR, they are running in their own township. They are helping the communities in their own township now. not with the SEC anymore, where the PDF control. Yeah, where the PDF, the area is controlled by the PDF.
Right. That's remarkable. So that's showing showing that the military is actually controlling less administration and less ground. So that's really inspiring.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So moving from CDM to NUG, you referenced that you're helping to take that now the CDM mission is incorporated in NUG, and you've become involved in National Unity Government for some time now, and supporting their mission. And I know you have some things to say about your view on what NUG is doing and how it's working. So tell us what your thoughts are on that.
Yes. So I'm taking part many roles in NUG. I mean, I'm working for the CDM and mostly for the CDM, and also working for the township administration, or the supporting the international donors with the humanitarian aids, so things like that. Yeah. So NUG is functioning. It's a revolution government. There are many challenges NUG is still facing, but we are still, working as much as we can to move the revolution.
Right. And how's your experience been in NUG? What do you have to share about your involvement and how you've seen in their mission and their activities?
These days we have more works with Sakai region and Magui region. So there are many battles and conflict and fightings every day in Sakai or Magui or Chin, and I'm helping with the Sakai administration groups or Sakai Chin or Magui administration groups, to strengthen the ground situation.
And how are you doing that? What, as far as it's safe to tell, what has your involvement been?
I'm helping them with their IDB and also giving them training how to manage the administration functions, or how to work during the conflict situation, conflict management, community resilience activities, things like that. So I mostly I give them training and coordination meetings with them.
Right. And over the course of the past year, you've joined NUG. When we were talking before, you weren't a part of that. You were more doing your own thing with encouraging CDM. So as you've come to take a role in NUG and work on in the National Unity Government from the inside, what have been your thoughts or reflections on seeing their efficiency and their activity, and how how the NUG has been running and how it's been accomplishing its mission? What thoughts or feelings do you have on that?
NUG is the revolution government, and it's not perfect. I think there are so many weaknesses and challenges they are facing, but the spirit of the NUG is really good. I mean, all the ministers are revolution fighters, and they can inspire the people a lot. So people like Dr. Soweso or Dr. Sasa, I really inspire them, or Mesimao or Dosimao, I really inspire them. They use many strategies. They and also they inspire the people not to demotivate, and also to stand up be stronger again, and to still fight. They call for the fighting stronger and stronger. So it's a but I accept they are also they are also some weaknesses, but the leadership is difficult these days. The revolution leadership. I wish we have more stronger leaders, but still our leaders are also doing their best for the country.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by stronger leaders? Like what type of leadership do you think is most valuable at this time of a revolutionary period?
It's like because we inspire the Ukraine president. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm sometimes frustrated with the NUG. Their communication strategy is weak, and they don't much communicate with the people. So things like that. So it's like I wish we have stronger leaders like the Ukraine president, but still. I know the challenges that our ministers facing. So I cannot say, they are also working 24/7. I couldn't tell them they are also doing their best. They cannot stretch their capacity anymore. They all, yeah.
So that's an interesting contrast, Ukraine and Myanmar, and many people have looked at that. We actually did an episode exploring in depth the differences between the situations, differences and similarities between Ukraine and Myanmar. And you referenced just now how you wish that we had a Burmese Zelensky, the Ukrainian leader. So why do you think it is that such a leader has not emerged in over a year? Either you could have such a leader from the NUG, from the PDFs, activism, from medical field, any number of professions. You can have a central leader who just starts inspiring and motivating and leading the people forward. And we haven't, and also speaks to the international community. What Zelensky has done so well. Why do you think it is that Myanmar has not, in this revolution, it's not yet been able to produce a type of Zelensky figure that can lead the way as such?
That's what we are still looking for. We are still thinking the leaders, looking for the leaders. But yeah, I think we will find. But I don't know why we couldn't have that kind of leaders.
Also, you referenced how some of the NUG leaders are perhaps not listening to the people as well as they could be, or perhaps are separated from some of the people on the ground. Can you say more about what you meant by that?
I mean, they are very busy with the meetings, but they are also. I mean, they are. Some ministers like Dr. Soweso, they have meetings with the people regularly, but still, NUG is weak in direction to motivate the people. That's what I'm feeling. So I think we need to work on that. How we can motivate the people, what kind of leadership we need to give more clear guidance to the people. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to think that, because the people themselves are so motivated. We've seen such great amounts of sacrifice and motivation among the people. So it seems kind of ironic in a sense to reference the leadership as not inspiring motivation when among the people there's already so much motivation to defeat this military.
Yes, it's the people it's very motivated to fight the regime. What my thinking is the revolution is win because of the people, not because of the NUG or any leaders, because the people motivation is very, very high, and NUG is always late. The people is always in front of us.
I see.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And if the revolution were to win, how do you see like a reconciliation taking place between the people and the leadership? Because right now there's not great communication or coordination, and there's definitely growing frustration that we sense from people on the ground of feeling like leadership is not really in touch with what they're trying to do and what their aims are, and are moving too slowly. So if the revolution were to win, this divide is not going away. It's going to remain a gap between people feeling that they're taking all the risks on the ground and a leadership that is seen to be a bit more removed. Do you have any concerns about how in the post-revolution period of how to bring about greater communication and to shorten this gap that has come to exist between them?
Yes, we need to definitely think of that. But right now, the political situation is very sensitive. So we have more engagement with the people, and also we develop the NUG is developing the strategy, the communication strategy. So NUG is still trying to work on that.
And what other changes would you like to see in NUG? You talk about having a better communication strategy with the people, having, as we all like, a Zelensky type leader that's involved as well. But if you were given the task and the ability to reform or remodel NUG, how would you do that? How would you like to see it reshaped to better serve the interests of the revolution?
I don't want to make it bigger. The government. This is the revolution government. I feel like NUG is more like the normal government. They have many ministries. I don't want that. It's just like I want to have only 2 or 3, like 3 or 4 ministries is enough. Like the humanitarian for the IDP, and then the defense. And the justice and the administration. That's and the foreign affairs. That's enough. 4 or 5 ministries enough. So I want all the other ministers and I want all the resources to focus only on the revolution. So areas like Sakai or Makui or Chin, they need more help. So all the resources need to go to there directly. So I want to make better resource allocation, not to all the states and regions where where the areas are still under control of SAC, and the resources are very scattered and very few, and we have to make more strategic allocation of the resources.
Right. So you're describing wanting to see more of a strictly like revolutionary government that is not trying to place itself as a stable government or shadow or parallel government trying to administer a country, which it doesn't, because as we've seen, even members of parliament are hiding out in Thailand trying to avoid arrest and capture by Thai authorities. And so it's difficult to imagine this type of body administering a full country. Rather, they should embrace their role as a transitional revolutionary government trying to restore democracy and rightful elections, and then have a stable government then take charge. And it sounds like what you're saying is they're trying to do everything at once, perhaps. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And so what you referenced a little bit just now of what you'd like to see a revolutionary government do: have less ministries, be able to more effectively allocate resources to those places that are in need, to focus attention on some of the critical needs that are happening, and to maybe let go of some of those tasks that are not so essential right now. Is there any other ways you would describe or define what a revolutionary government is, how it's different from what we have now, and what features or priorities a revolutionary government should be carrying out at this time?
It should be focusing more on the winning strategy. How can we win the SAC? I want more on that. The strategy should be clear and direction should be clear to the people. So that's what I want for the NUG.
That makes sense, because I feel like at the moment, if someone were to ask, what is the NUG doing or what is it pursuing, there's not really like a clear or distinct voice or direction or strategy that is known, either publicly or people that are engaged in their own activities and operations. It seems like there's not one clear voice or mission that's coming out of what it's really trying to accomplish, or at least that's someone like myself being more on the outside in the periphery. At least that's the sense I get. As someone like you who is much more involved directly with the mission, is that something you think is fair to say as well, or am I just kind of missing something here?
No. I also want to say like that. Yeah.
And why do you think it's developed that way? I mean, it's so urgent that there's solidarity and clear lines of operation at this moment, and that the leadership should be doing that. And yet it seems like it hasn't found a way to accomplish that. Why do you think it is that it's been so muddled and it's not able to have such a clear directive and mission and one voice and leading one strategy in leading forward? Why hasn't it been able to accomplish that?
It's because we are weak in dialogue and communication, I think. So in NUG, we have many ministers from different backgrounds, like the ethnic backgrounds or the party background and another party background. So the dialogue between these different groups are challenging and take time. I think that's what I think.
Right. And as you've seen those dialogues progress and you've been involved in that communication,
yes.
And it is taking time to be able to find common ground. How are you finding that communication develop? Are you seeing changes along the course of the past year and how different groups are able to discuss and work together more openly?
Yeah, we are still working on that. Like, the revolution is taking longer and longer. Actually, I feel revolution is not in the hands of NUG. Revolution is only in the ground. So I cannot even say NUG is leading the revolution. NUG is just coordinating and helping the revolution leaders in the ground.
Well, that's very interesting.
The leaders are out there, not inside the NUG.
Well, let's go there then. Let's go and take a look at some of those leaders operating on the ground where the real revolution is happening and where the real important leaders and events are shaping up and taking place. Tell us what you know about what is happening on the ground in the forefront of the revolution.
I mean, I'm working with the Sakai leaders or Chan leaders. There are many interesting and brave and very high competent leader. They are leading the revolution. They are leading the battalions. So I really admire them. They make quick decisions. They inspire their people. So people like Purnaka, I think you know him. He is on the on Facebook and social media. So it's very interesting. He is leading the groups there. So people like him is really inspire for me. They have many challenges, but they are still working. They don't have the proper weapons, but they find the ways how to make the weapons. So it makes me really inspiring. The people, the leaders like him, taking control of the revolution and winning the revolution.
Right. So leaders like Bonagar, have you coordinated or supported them with and what they're doing, or are you more in a different field of operations and you're just following more on social media like the rest of us?
We know him. Yeah, we support him. Yeah, like the MOD, Ministry of Defense, is supporting them. So we are the NUG is supporting them. Yeah.
Right. And any other thoughts about some of the importance of the leaders that are on the ground and some of the PDF missions that are taking place? What else about that can you tell us?
I also think another leader like Desasen, he is also a very inspiring leader for me. He can motivate the people. He can motivate. He can also coordinate the Gen Z. So this kind of the Gen Z and the leaders are also we need. It's essential for us. So yeah, they are the ground leaders. I only rely on the ground leaders to win the revolution.
What do you think? How do you think these ground leaders were able to come to such prominence and to, these people now leading these operations? None of them came from these kinds of backgrounds for the most part. Before the revolution, these were doctors and teachers and civil servants, taxi drivers, just normal people from all walks of life. And those that have chosen to step up are not just risking their lives, but in some ways are leading movements and having to find the resources when there are very, very little to rely on, little material, little support from the international community, little in terms of experience and training and knowing what they're doing. So how did they find those inner resources to be able to step up and play a role in something that they've never done before, and to actually, as you described, to be successful and inspiring in what they're doing?
Yes, that's what I observe from them is their perseverance, and also their strong determination to fight for the regime and for the people. So that's what they are leading their role, and they also have many followers. They inspire. So yeah, I observe from them is their determination to fight for the democracy.
You reference Bonagar, who's a PDF leader. You also mentioned Tezar San, who I don't believe is in the PDFs now. I think he's more of an activist and speaker. Is that right?
Yes, he is. He is not PDF. Tezar San is more like activist. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are two examples that come to mind of the type of leaders that you think are important right now for the movement. Are there any other young leaders that come to mind that you'd like to call attention to?
I see many PDF Yen and Gen Z. I'm also working with them. But not like prominent like them, But these two figures are very prominent. But I see many Gen Z. They are also trying very hard. They can give even their gift. They can even give their life for the country. They don't dare to die for the country. They dare to die for the country. So just I really inspire them. I cannot say I cannot name them, but just right. They are very brave and very courage, and I really inspire.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of unsung heroes right now. There's a lot of people that are dedicating their lives and risking their lives, whose names are virtually unknown. And for many, that's their own choice. That's their own service and their own their own work to do. They don't want the attention for their own safety as well. But I think you and I both know some names that are not well known, but are playing really quite prominent and important roles now. How about women? What have you seen from Gen Z female activists and how they've been responding? And do any particular women come to mind that have emerged as leaders?
It's like the PDF group, Meow Woman Warrior group. Have you seen on the Facebook?
I really have, like but describe to our listeners what that is. That's really interesting.
It's very interesting. I mean, very inspiring for us. The Gen Z women, they formed the PDF women PDF group to support the PDF and also to produce weapons themselves and to give each other the fighting trainings or to help the IDP, to help the humanitarian activities. So it's really inspiring for me, the young woman warrior. They also issue the announcement, to boycott the SKC, to ask the CDM, to ask the civil servants to join the CDM movement and things like that. So this is very inspiring for me, young woman warrior.
Yeah, and that seems to be something new in Myanmar history. From my reading of past Myanmar history and military, I can't really think of another conflict period where women have played such an important role in the actual conflict part of it.
Yeah, this is the new history for us, for the women.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. Why do you think that is? This is like a first time in Bamar history that women have stepped forward to take on the greatest risk of the greatest personal risk they can incur. And this has never happened before. So it didn't happen in 2007. It didn't happen in 1988. There were certainly women involved in the movement, but not like they are now in the risks and the courage that they're showing. So why do you think it is that this generation has produced so many young women that are willing to make this ultimate sacrifice?
I think it's because of the technology and also exposure we got. It's different from the previous generation. This generation is the generation everything can access the internet. It's the internet generation. So
right.
So that's what I think. And we can access to anything on the wall and we got many privileges comparing with other generations. So that's why the younger generation even got more freedom and within the 10 years of this democratic period time of Burmese history, I think these 10 years, a lot of young people got many exposure to the international communities, the freedom of speech, freedom of thoughts, political science, studying political science. So in the universities, freedom movement. So there's so many activities, happening. So that's why I think the political attitude, the political thoughts are very very high already in the generation. So I think that's what I guess for this new generation.
That's all very exciting. So what would your thoughts be towards if the revolution is successful and we move on to a democratic post-revolution society, this involvement of women, this empowerment of women is not going to go away as people settle back into a more traditional, conservative Burmese Buddhist society. This kind of activity they're doing is going to persist, I think it's fair to say, in some way. Do you have any thoughts of like if in a new society, what impact this kind of involvement and empowerment of women now, how that would translate to settling back into a more normal democratic society, how they would carry this activism and this confidence to pass the revolution into further life and society.
I feel very, very much proud of the new generation, the new leaders of the women leaders. So I have very positive and optimistic hope for my country after the revolution. You know, if we win, we will definitely. I can say we can definitely overcome all the political challenges we faced in the previous decades. That, you know, we can remove all these things with the new generation. Yeah.
Right. And concerning the women as well, staying on that for another moment, are there any particular women that come to mind as leaders or examples that have really stood out to you?
I mean, these two ladies, the Itensa or Espasino, these two ladies are prominent. But there are many ladies, you know, there are many young ladies. I cannot even say names. I mean, like, there are many young ladies joining the movement. So just like. I mean, not only one, I cannot say one lady, two ladies, these two ladies, but there are so many ladies, like this young woman warrior or other lady in Sakai or Che. Che also has many young ladies joining the PDF. And also, you know, the woman who fell from the building on 50th Street, it's like the underground UG ladies. There are many groups and many young ladies groups. So I really inspire all ladies for fighting in the revolution. I really inspire. I met many PDF ladies too, so it's really inspiring for me. You know, they are taking the training, the military training like the men. So it's really inspiring.
Yeah, I bet it is. Widening the outlook beyond just the PDFs and looking at the EAOs, the ethnic armed organizations, how have the relations and the coordination been between these different factions, between these different groups, the EAOs, the PDFs, the NUG? What can you say about this whole relationship?
We are still working on that. We are still building the dialogue and still building the trust and communication. So, but the situation is really good. I believe that we have a stronger belief and trust than the last 70 years to fight for the regime. So I'm very optimistic about the current situation on the relationship with the ERO and the NUG or PDF.
So one question I have is, like, looking at your own personal background and your own personal practice, your meditation practice, with some of these wider goals and operations in Myanmar. And this is a really difficult question. It's a different thing to consider for many of us. On one hand, you're practicing a meditation, Mogok technique, which you're describing is giving you more peace inside, especially compassion. It's giving compassion towards yourself and towards others and allowing you to persist. And yet, on the other hand, there's these PDF fighters that are being supported to kill the Tamana soldiers that are not defecting and that are carrying on their terror and their tyranny. This is just an enormously difficult situation because they are not stopping their evil. They're not stopping their harm of innocent people day after day, and they will not stop. It's become very apparent that force is the only language that they know, and the only way that has been determined to resist force is with force. And So there's this awful situation of having to find a way to kill them more effectively than they are killing the countrymen, and to support those PDFs that are charged with that effort. But on a personal, ethical, spiritual level, how is that for you? You know, how is it to have nonviolent ethics for your life, to follow an ethical, spiritual path and believe in not harming people and really try to live by those values? And to continue doing that, you have your own meditation practice even today, yet at the same time to recognize the necessity that this evil is not going away if not for force. So how have you been able to reconcile that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm also looking for that that's the solution, because one day I'm supporting the PDF to I'm donating the money for the weapon protection to kill the SAC. But the other day I'm like, oh no, I'm like killing people. I'm supporting them to kill people. So it's like it's a difficult dilemma for me. I need to balance myself, my thoughts. But what I think is the military is killing the people. If we are not killing them, they are going to kill us. That's what I think. That's what other people. I always I met the PDF. I met the CDM. I met the parents of the PDF. So they all are very suffering, and I cannot accept this suffering. So it's like I was very angry with the SAC. They are greedy. They are greed in their distraction to the country. That's my hatred to them. Is it's like we have to stop them. If we cannot stop them in this generation, it's like our next generation would be suffer even harder than us. So that's what I think. And so I have to balance my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's certainly no way forward to determine how to have to win the revolution in the least harmful way possible, while also maintaining your own humanity and your own morals. And I imagine this is something that the PDFs have to deal with much more intensively, since they're the ones actually on the ground doing this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any conversations with those in the PDF that have struggled with this kind of thing?
Yes, of course, yes. But they are like, they are always only looking at the present moment. I like that, only just checking yourself with your present moment, what's happening to you. So it's like, it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult for us to cope with all these values and the situation. Yeah.
I can imagine, and you're coping with this on your own. There's so little international support or sympathy for this struggle that's being waged from people who don't have any background, any training, any resources, and are just trying to do the best they can with what they have. And I think it's really been an inspiration for the world. But it's also been a tragedy that the democratic movement has been so isolated and unsupported. It's very sad that the people waging this have to have such resilience and such perseverance. It would be nice if there was more support, but given how the conditions are, it's really amazing how people have responded to a very difficult situation.
Yeah. At first, the last year, I wish we could have more international support, but now I have no hope for international support anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have to fight ourselves to get our democracy, to get our independence.
Yeah, that certainly is the situation. And where do you think we're at now in this revolution? What you referenced listening to your interview last year, you felt you were a little naive in how long the revolution would last, that the momentum was going to be more impactful than it was at that time. And yet still here we are now, where people are as optimistic and dedicated as ever, even after a year plus of this terror and this horror. But where are we at? What do you feel like? What's your feeling in terms of where the revolution is at and where the momentum is, and what you think is going to happen the next months and even years?
The momentum was very high in the earlier stage of the revolution, like last year. But it's lower and lower this year. I think this year, but then again, areas and places like Sakai or Che or Magui, the revolution is stronger in these areas. So it's different, different stages in different areas. So I can say, like, generally, we have very good situation. SAC is losing, and we are winning. But still, we have to be more systematic and more stronger. Communicate to the people, motivation. So many things involved to win the revolution. But still, I feel we are in very good situation now.
And with that, I thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I'm so glad that you're in a continued place of safety and continuing to support from where you're at, even though I know the conditions are less than ideal. But I think speak for many listeners when I say that you're an inspiration for many of us in your sacrifice and your dedication towards wanting to work towards this greater goal of freedom and safety and an equitable society for all people in Myanmar to be able to live and build their lives in and get away from this current terror of the military that is trying to control it. And I wish the movement the most success. So thanks so much for taking this time with us.
Thank you so much also for inviting me to share my experiences and things I want to say to the world. Thank you so much for the listeners also listening to the stories and helping Myanmar for our democracy movement.
Many listeners know that in addition to running these podcast episodes, we also run a nonprofit, Better Burma, which carries out humanitarian projects across Myanmar. While we regularly post about current needs and proposals from groups on the ground, we also handle emergency requests, often in matters that are quite literally life or death. When those urgent requests come in, we have no time to conduct targeted fundraisers, as these funds are often needed within hours. So please consider helping us maintain this emergency fund. We want to stress that literally any amount that you give allows us to respond more flexibly and effectively when disaster strikes. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are being impacted by the military coup, we welcome your contribution. in any form, currency, or transfer method. Your donation will go to support a wide range of humanitarian missions, aiding those local communities who need it most. Donations are directed to such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, internally displaced person, IDP camps, food for impoverished communities, military defection campaigns, undercover journalists, monasteries and nunneries, education initiatives, the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies, COVID relief, and much more. We also make sure that our donation fund supports a diverse range of religious and ethnic groups across the country. We invite you to visit our website to learn more about past projects as well as upcoming needs. You can give a general donation or earmark your contribution for a specific activity or project you would like to support, perhaps even something you heard about in this very episode. All of this humanitarian aid work is carried out by our nonprofit mission, Better Burma. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is directed towards this fund. Alternatively, you can also visit the Better Burma website, betterburma.org. That's betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit cards. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either the Insight Myanmar or Better Burma websites for specific links to those respective accounts, or email us at info@betterburma.org. If you'd like to give in another way, please contact us. Thank you so much for your kind consideration and support.